Queer joy to me would be the feeling of being represented after not for a while. It shouldn't always be that way, but you know. My name is Song, Sulkiro. Song is my family name, Sulkiro is my given name. I am 37 years old now, and I use she and they pronouns, and I was born in Korea, in Seoul, Korea. So when I was growing up, I didn't have a strong sense of at least my own gender. And because my mom, she didn't really instill that so much in me when I was growing up. Other people had to teach me that, like, oh, this is how you have to act. This has to be your favorite color. These are the toys that you have to play with. But otherwise, I didn't have a strong sense of gender for myself. I didn't fully grasp how that really worked in the world. And so I thought, you know, whatever my family can do, I should also do. And my grandfather being a pastor, my dad at the time on the way to becoming a pastor, I thought I should also then become a pastor, carry on the family line. And I had told my grandfather one day, he asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I very proudly told him, I want to be like you. And I pointed to him and I said, I want to be like you, a pastor, a 목사님. And I thought he would be proud. I thought he would be like, oh, 오냐, you know, just like, oh, my, you know, lovely grandchild. I thought he would be so happy, but there was a look of alarm on his face and he got so serious. I was 5 at the time also, but he rose up, I remember, or maybe it felt like he was rising up. Like that one scene in Lord of the Rings when Gandalf just like rises up and becomes like really big in the room and just fills up. And he told me, he was like, women cannot be pastors. If you become a pastor, you are going to be a heretic. And that was just so shocking to me because I don't know, who wants to be a heretic? That just sounded so scary, so ominous. And so I ran out of the room crying. I was really confused, and my grandma and my mom, they both tried to comfort me, and I think they tried to explain where grandfather was coming from, but also to just like not pay attention to grandfather. But yeah, I think that was my first encounter with that idea that female-bodied people cannot and should not be pastors. Yeah, so I just never really thought about it for myself, but it just kind of happened. I guess to my non-church, non-Christian friends, they don't see what's so funny about it because to them it's like, well, you went to seminary, so what did you expect? But for me, yeah, I didn't expect to become a 목사. When I went into seminary, I didn't go to seminary to become a preacher. I went into seminary strictly for academic purposes. Seminary for me was a very ridiculously expensive therapy for me to help me through my own religious trauma. So yeah, I had no intention of becoming a pastor. So I didn't take courses on preaching or pastoral care. But at the same time, at my church, just because of how the makeup of my congregation, because the people themselves are also going through their own decolonization, deconstructing processes too. So I felt comfortable enough to share the things that I was learning in seminary to my congregation without having to maybe downplay a lot of the academic things that I was learning in seminary. My sermons can get into feminism. It can get into, it definitely gets into anti-imperialism and like queer theology. Those have been the themes of my sermons. I mean, for me, I identify as an aromantic, asexual, like pan in small subscript brackets, because as an ace person, I don't like the idea of people thinking that they have any sort of access. But I never really identified with the word queer for a while, just because like I guess people who were queer, they were mostly white. There was also a certain aesthetic, a certain signaling of queerness that I don't know, that I thought I had, but it was always interpreted differently. And because I had been in like heterosexual relationships at the time, I just thought like, okay, I don't count as queer, but also I'm not straight either. Although like I can be in a straight relationship, but I also, I thought maybe being in a straight relationship would make me feel straight, but I just thought like, oh, yeah, but I'm not attracted to men. This person is like a special case. Hindsight, wish they weren't, but yeah. So I had a difficult time identifying with the words queer. But I do remember there was one day, it was one summer day in Asheville, North Carolina. I was working at a tea house. Asheville had a Pride March happening, which was really fun. Our doors were open, our windows were wide open. So the celebration was just sort of coming, like weaving in and out of the tea house. This person came in with a cape, and the cape was black, gray, purple, and white. I had never seen that flag before, and just so out of politeness and also for the hope of, getting some tips, I just asked, "Oh, what flag is that?" And this person just swooped around, showing off their flag, and said, "Oh, this flag represents asexuality." And my heart just skipped a beat, because asexuality was something that I had identified as maybe back in, I think, eighth grade, but I was made fun of for calling myself asexual, because I remember one of my classmates just sort of snidely asking me, "Oh, so does that mean you can reproduce by yourself?" And so I stopped calling myself that. I can't call myself straight, but I'll just, I'll live passing straight as much as I can, because that seemed like the safe route. But yeah, so I never outwardly called myself asexual, but this person wearing their asexual flag proudly, like with such confidence, saying, this is the flag of asexuality. My heart skipped a beat. I was so excited, and in that moment, I froze. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to grab them and just ask, "Hey, so we're in, we can be a part of Pride now? We're considered queer enough?" I felt like I was floating. It was supposed to be a long shift. I had many more hours ahead of me, but I remember that whole afternoon and even late night as I was closing, I just had, it felt like my feet had wings. My customer service was a lot better just because I was so happy. Yeah, so for me, that's queer joy. So yeah, asexuality, I've been learning, is a huge umbrella term for many other identities that I don't fully understand myself either sometimes. But for me, the way I experienced my asexuality was that just growing up, noticing that my peers seemed to have a pull, a strong desire towards certain people. They had their type, but I felt like I didn't have my type. And by type, I mean, people were drawn to certain genders usually, but for me, I didn't have that. And I always wondered, oh my goodness, I wonder what my sexuality is gonna be when I when just like all the hormones hit for me one day, because I always thought that that's how it happened, that it was kind of like, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I guess it would be kind of like the concept of the sorting hat. I thought that, in your adolescence, like everyone is asexual, is what I thought. And then that one day, they wake up and it's like this aha moment for them. Like, aha, I'm gay, or aha, I'm bi or straight. I was always waiting for that. And I always wondered, like, oh my goodness, like I wonder what my sexuality is gonna be. I'm so curious. Like, I hope I'm straight, because the other options look so stressful, and and I don't know how I would deal with my family or God, because of course back then I was taught that God, for some reason, really loves heterosexual sex. But yeah, like I just always wondered, and in my later teenage years, I kept thinking maybe I'm a late bloomer. I think I'm a late bloomer. I see an argument especially for asexual and aromantic people. I think many of them might see like two sources of thought. One source of thought is just one that centers visible outward forms of oppression and persecution and outward suffering. And so that, I guess, like that sort of thought, they center queerness on suffering, which, there definitely is suffering to queerness, because queerness is, it defies cis heteronormative patriarchy. Like there's certainly that, but also because queerness also means that you are at odds with cis heteronorms, it doesn't have to center around visible persecution. And so I guess for people who are questioning, but they also feel that they don't quite fit into that cis heteropatriarchal box, I would say, like, yeah, that itself is a queer experience. I would tell young Sulkiro to not go into relationships just to blend in, especially to not go into like certain heterosexual relationships that I had been in, to feel like I'm hitting, a human milestone, that I don't have to do that. I've just been really recommending people to get into biblical scholarship, get into like deep biblical studies if they can, even secular biblical studies, because for me that has been surprisingly informative for my own spirituality. I thought academic biblical studies would actually limit my spiritual, or like even stop or kill my spirituality, but instead it alivened it in a very different way. People like to use the Bible as a weapon against queer people, but the Bible is kind of, I mean, I don't want to call it a weapon, but it can be our weapon too. Would y'all like tea?